Hey there, Nomads of Lore. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Sean.
And together we are Mead and Mischief, your home away from no home. And today we're going to be discussing Robert Jordan and his inspiration for the character of Perrin Aybarra in The Wheel of Time. Robert Jordan had many inspirations coming into the Wheel of Time. He took from all different creeds and cultures and myths and mythologies,
and books,
literature, all kinds of things. And it was kind of his thing, as stated at the end of the audiobooks. If you listen to him on Audible, he talks a little bit about this. And this is kind of what we're going to talk about today. Is specifically Perrin, but he liked to pull, or he liked the idea that mythologies came from real people, possibly. For instance, maybe we could take Robin Hood, and maybe there was a person back in the day, a long time ago, that stole from the rich and gave to the poor, and it gave somebody the idea to write the character of Robin Hood. And so
Robin Hood was probably Welsh, by the way.
Well, there you go. So anyway, he really liked that idea, and so I think that is where we are able to see so many different things that he pulled from connections of, obviously, Lord of the Rings and some other literature, but also all these different mythologies from different and creation stories of different cultures throughout the world. Kind of a big melting pot, if you will. And so we're going to talk specifically about Perrin and where we think he got a lot of his ideas, and where it's been said that he got a lot of his ideas for Perrin, the character. So before we get started, I'll give you a spoiler warning. There's really not going to be any spoilers, hopefully, at all. We will, at least
no direct
spoilers for the actual storyline. There might be some
books or film, or show, I should say.
Yeah, there might be some spoilers that you could kind of glean an idea from that is from later on, but we're going to be real generic about what we say. So if you're extremely sensitive to spoilers, then maybe you don't want to watch this. Go ahead and click off. Finish the books or the show or whatever and come back, maybe a long time. But anyway, but if not, if you're not too worried about it, as long we're not going to spoil anything from the actual storyline. So let's get started.
Let's do it. Oh, before we jump in, we'll talk more about this at the end. But if you enjoy this conversation and want to be more a part of it, you can of course comment below. But we also have a Discord server. Link is in the description. So let's get started. So the number one inspiration that everybody talks about, everybody and their dog and their pet goldfish and their Uncle Susie and whoever else talks about
I have a dog, but I don't have a goldfish.
It's a boy named Sue, right? We got. Oh, you're the goldfish.
No, I don't have a goldfish. Do you have a goldfish?
I don't have a goldfish. We have quite the menagerie, but not a goldfish.
Do.
I just kept the snake from escaping just a few minutes ago, to be exact. But anyway, the inspiration that everybody talks about is Perrin. Oh, by the way, I should note. We're going to do our best, kind of, sort of, on pronunciations of all these things from different countries and religions and whatever else. They're probably not going to be perfect. We're going to try to get close enough that you at least know who we're talking about. If you know for sure that we've made a mistake, you're welcome to correct us in the comments, because we like to learn and we are not too prideful to admit that we're not perfect. So the Slavic god Perun. All right, so Perun is that there are a few different ways that Perun was an inspiration for Perrin. One is obviously the name. It has similar feel, right? All right, the P's, we've got all that going together is obvious, and the ends, pun, right? So they're both pun. So Perun in Slavic mythology was really one of, if not the chief god. In fact, I think he's kind of considered to be the chief god behind maybe the creator god, which I don't remember in Slavic mythology what that god is called. Sorry, we're not deep scholars in all of these. We know some of them better than others. But so that's a big piece of it there. Perun was also a big, strong, burly god, right? He was strong and powerful. He was god of thunder, god of light, which there's a lot of powerful gods in various cultures that that are the gods of thunder and all of that kind of thing. And another piece of Perrin that is, as he's portrayed in mythology, is that he carried a axe. I think it's often described as a hatchet. In fact, that his axe it was used as symbology in a lot of Slavic culture, a lot like Mjolnir is used in Norse culture. It's a very similar token that was carried and used and represented, and so that's a big one. Honestly, some of the other things as far as characterization and story flow, I think some of the other, even though this is the one that everybody talks about, and that's Perrin, right? Is this one, honestly, is from what I can tell, as far as some of the story beats, is maybe a little less of an inspiration than some of these others. But we'll dive into them, and you can let us know what you think.
If you enjoy some of this information we're giving you, we are going to put links down in the description to where we got the information about these gods and these different mythologies and stuff. So check down there for a link.
Part of it, you may have to put a link to your syllabus from college.
There you go. There you go. So obviously we'll step back to the name. The other possibility for name is we've got Merry and Pippin
in Lord of the Rings.
In Lord of the Rings, where you cross those two names together and you've kind of got Perrin. So there's a possibility there as well.
Almost certainly was part of it.
There's a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff, especially in this first
Lord
book.
Of the Rings,
in the Eye of the World, there's a lot, and Dune. Yep, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, and we'll probably go into a little bit more detail about some of that. Maybe we could do a first book kind of comparison with Lord of the Rings at some point.
Yeah, we've talked about that, actually.
Yeah. Speaking of gods of thunder, I know that was a reference a few minutes ago, but thunder. Yeah. There is another god that was very heavily pulled from, or somewhat pulled from, for sure.
One element, for sure.
And y'all know him probably a little better, and his name's Thor. Thor is a really cool god. He's a little different in mythology. He's a little bit
different than he is in Marvel.
Yeah,
quite a bit different.
Yeah, he's a little denser, a little slower, and not
the brightest bulb on the Christmas
there you
tree.
go. There's what we'll say. So, and maybe this is possibly what Robert Jordan was thinking. If we take these characters and we go way far in the future, and these are the gods from the past, and we're kind of looking at them, and you hear from the women's circle talking about this god, and he's
this person
that
becomes a god.
That becomes a god. Yeah, exactly. He's a little slower to speak, and so he's dull or dumb in their mind. Maybe that's where they kind of got. Maybe that's where he kind of got that inspiration from. And then obviously also Mjolnir and the blacksmith hammer, and then other hammers. And so there's a lot to pull from there.
Absolutely.
And then what else?
Another almost certain inspiration for Perrin and part of his character is found in Hindu mythology / religion. And the reason why we're claiming this is that a major feature of Perrin's arc and his characterization has to do with creation and destruction. That's a big deal. I won't go into spoilers too much, but that is his central thing, and that balance between creation and destruction. And one of the best places, and we know that Robert Jordan was influenced by Hindu religion because he said as much. That's one of his major inspirations for Time as a Wheel, right? And so the kind of, and I'm not super in depth with Hindu religion, and it's really complicated, like really complicated. It's got so many layers and characters and so many different things, and then you read it in different things, and it's slightly different. And so I'm gonna do my best. I'm not gonna pronounce some of these words right, but the triad of gods, which is kind of I think the chief gods. That doesn't really matter because that's not really the point I'm trying to make in Hindu religion. The triad of gods, who are Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva, right? Those are gods of creation and destruction and something in the middle, passivity. I don't even remember something in the middle. But those and that concept with the three of them together and the creation and destruction together. But then in particular, and this I find interesting, and it wouldn't surprise me if this was a thought, and that is specifically Shiva, which is generally called the god of destruction there. But part of Shiva's character also is linked to creation as well in and of itself, right? And so that balance of creating through destruction is very much encapsulated in some of those things and all of that. And so those were almost certainly thoughts and inspirations for Perrin as well.
So the last place we want to talk about a possible inspiration for Robert Jordan and Perrin is the Epic of Gilgamesh. And there is a character in the Epic of Gilgamesh called Enkidu. Perrin is more similar to Gilgamesh himself, but this character of Enkidu is a wild man who is a wild man of the forest, and there's some scholars that say he might be the first or one of the first references to a character that's kind of like a werewolf. And when Enkidu dies, they become friends, and when Enkidu dies, Gilgamesh basically strips off his clothes and puts pelts on, and becomes this wild man, becomes this beast at heart. And so that's where there's a lot more to it, and trying to avoid spoilers for you guys. But there's a lot more to it. If you want to look more into that, we'll have a link in the description where you can deep dive into Gilgamesh a little bit. So yeah, what did you think? Are there any things that we missed? Any inspiration points that we missed that Robert Jordan definitely had for Perrin?
Yeah.
Put them in the description, or put them in the comments down below.
Join us on Discord for fuller, deeper discussions on some of these things.
That link will be in the description. Ring the bell. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're going up.
Yep.
Let's keep it going. Thank you guys. Have a good evening.